I was about to do a whole nice intro to start us off to welcome on our guest Doink, but then Jake reminds me that my laptop's an old piece of shit. So, Jake, why don't you tell the audience now? Forget Doink for a hot second. You tell the audience how you feel for derailing the show.
No, I will. Right before Fitz hit record, he was bitching and moaning about that you weren't bitching and moaning. In this instance, you were saying, "Oh, remind me tomorrow about updates for the laptops," which leads to the inevitable bitching and moaning that you do all the time because your laptop's a piece of shit. Maybe just update it.
It's a dinosaur.
Maybe just update it.
Well, I guess our first question for our guest, welcome back to the program at Doink Patrol. Doink, very good friend of the program. Doink, is your laptop or computer a piece of shit just like mine?
It is. I don't know what you're rocking. I mean, I don't know if yours. I wouldn't outright call mine a piece of shit because it is a MacBook Pro, but I think it's like the first one.
I'm certain it's better than Fitz's.
It's probably better. I'm like,
what is yours?
Mine is a MacBook Pro that was acquired right before Obama's second midterm election. Let's just call it like that.
Should we read off serial numbers? How do you want to do? Do you want to?
I feel like that's gonna get me doxxed if I do that. Yeah. So someone's gonna figure that out. They're gonna get my assassination coordinates. But anyways,
you know what? You can actually all you have to do is if you hit about this Mac on the top left, it tells you the year it's from.
So I'm afraid if I do that, I'm going to brick the whole thing. So
like my computer will stop working. Well,
right. Yeah, we're going to have to go on without me in the show.
2020. That's not.
But Doink, thank you so much for coming back onto the program. It's been a little bit since you've been on, and the reason we had you on because the other day I was scrolling the timeline as I usually do, and one of your posts crossed my desk. You had went to McCoy Stadium, which video game reference for all the gamers out there. Unfortunately, looks like the start of Call of Duty 4. The 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town kind of thing. Nice. Nature has started to kind of take over McCoy Stadium. But with that, I thought, you know what would be a great idea is to have Doink on here and kind of have some reminiscing about the old home of the Pawtucket Red Sox. Now that you've seen it in the state that it is in 2024, kind of taking a trip down memory lane. We can get into the specifics of what it's like now as, again, well, first of all, it's set to be demolished, is it not?
Yes.
McCoy Stadium?
So they're going to be building a high school on it. They're like combining the two high schools in that area. I forget the name off my top of my head, but they're making like a mega high school on those grounds.
That's good. Building schools is good.
We love building schools. It's also just like, damn.
Yeah, it's better than paving paradise and putting up a parking lot, I suppose.
True.
But, still, that's a big piece of history that I'm sure a lot of our listeners have had experiences there. I mean, minor league baseball right in the in the backyard, being able to go there relatively cheap compared to going to Fenway. I'm sure, multiple generations of people have been able to tell stories about McCoy Stadium. And then we can start there as well. How long had you been going to McCoy in your upbringing?
Not often, because I did grow up in the Midwest, actually. But my family's all based in Boston. So, like, I would go once a summer, not consistently, like, kind of just whenever we wanted to do something. My mom, like, doesn't remember doing this with me, which is really funny. But that was also kind of, if we want to get into the whole how I acquired this large sign and how I did not
get there. I was gonna mention the 500-pound elephant in the virtual room.
Truly.
For people who are only listening, there is one of the like section 10. Well, not specifically section 10 like the podcast.
13 and 14.
Sections 13 and 14. Pause. Pointing to where to go to your seat. That one of those big old signs. You're able to bring that back. Look at that.
So I wasn't like able to just like bring it back. This wasn't a thing that they just like gave me.
That was going to be a question.
I did pay a lot of money for it. So the city of Pawtucket did an auction with like all the shit from the stadium. And I was following it very closely. There was a lot of cool stuff. It's like all the signage. I didn't
seats
see
and stuff.
I didn't see seats listed.
Oh, okay.
But when I did go to pick the sign up, the guys were like trying to give me seats. They were like, "Come on, like you can fit 3 of them in your trunk," like because they just had this surplus of the blue seats, which was great. But no, I was like, I love a good auction.
Especially
and like,
if you get something like that. Are you kidding
what
me?
a good chance to like own legitimate piece of Red Sox history. And it's just like, so I was following the auction was like a month and a half long. It was kind of intense. And it was like really like old school online auction vibes, which was fun. Got down to the wire and I got really lucky. I was very nervous for a moment that I was going to accidentally buy 2 because I was because I wanted the section signs. These were like my favorite things. Had no recollection of how huge they are. I don't,
Yeah, have you measured it? Do you know what the dimensions are?
It's definitely over 6 feet wide.
Oh my god!
Because I have a photo of. I'll show you some of my photos, but I have a photo of one
like
of
the Michael Jordan wings picture, like
one of the
the
lovely men of the city of Pawtucket laborers who was helping me attach it to the roof of my car.
When I messaged you, you were like, "Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 feet wide."
I literally, I was like, so yes, due to the fact that like I have not been there since I was 12 years old, I was trying in my mind palace to like imagine how, because I can see the signs in my head. I was like, okay, I'm picturing the signs in the stadium. Here I am as a child. Those can't be more than 3 feet wide. And like the dimensions, no shade, no hate to the city of Pawtucket, but like the online auction was poorly handled because they did not have dimensions listed anywhere. So I was just guessing. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be able to fit this. I'm lucky I have the wall space for it. I really am so lucky because I was not leaving this thing in Rhode Island. Even though I showed up and they pulled it out of the like back of the gate and like my jaw dropped. I was like, oh, that is 4 times as large as I thought it was going to be.
Got to tie it to the roof of the car like a Christmas tree.
So yeah, I did. So I show up. I'm like, oh my God, that is the biggest sign I've ever seen in my entire life. And they were like, yeah, let's see if it fits in your back seat. We open my trunk. It is too wide to fit in my car. So it's over 4 feet wide probably, because I think that's how wide my trunk is. So that wasn't going to be an option. So I had to go down to like whatever the tiny little hardware store is in Pawtucket, and I bought ratchet straps.
Do you have anything that's really good at holding big Pawtucket Red Sox
like I got a big sign,
kids?
Buddy. I got ratchet straps that like ended up not being long enough, but literally cannot commend the 5 guys that work for the city that were there like loading out all of the signs and shit that day. They were true MVPs of this entire scenario. They ratchet strapped it to the top of my car. Excellent. We were like, cool. And then they were like, we were talking about, you know, the stadium or whatever. And I was like, oh, I haven't been since I was like a kid. And like, this is crazy that it's like gonna get demolished and like da da da. And I was like the last person of like all of the pickups of all of the signage to be there. Like everything else was gone. They were like, you're literally the last person. We're just waiting for you to leave. Get out. and they were like, but like, do you want to go inside before you leave? And I was like,
I was gonna ask how you're able to finagle your way in.
So I was just like, I mean, if you have the time to like take me on the field, it would mean the absolute world to me. And they like unlocked the gates for me and like walked out with me on the field as I like kind of sobbed a little bit, just because I'm an emotional person, that like just stuff like that where you're like, even if I had never been there in my life, like I feel like it would still make me really emotional just being somewhere that's about to get torn down, that has such a rich history and is so special to so many people. Overcome with emotion. They were excellent. One of them was like, do you want a picture? Like I never would have asked for one of them to take a photo of me. Like that's not my vibe. I'm like way too paranoid and shy about that kind of stuff. I never would have gotten a photo of myself had one of them like not offered. And I'm just like, I like did little single tear cries just like all the way home. It was while trying to make sure that it didn't fall off my roof.
Well, you're talking about, you know, the memories of what it means to people. I mean, you went through a whole ordeal just to get the sign in. It's way bigger than you thought. You have to go to the hardware store to get it, just because it evokes a memory of your time spent as, you know, growing up, going to McCoy. What does that place mean to you specifically to you? Because I'm sure, again, people of Pawtucket, people around New England, I'm sure they have their own testimonies having spent time there at McCoy over the summers. What does that place mean to you now that you're able to look back at it?
I mean, it's like you said, it's nostalgia, like in a bottle. Like being able to have this in my house, that's like something that I looked at as a child so often, and like something that so many people that I care about who are Red Sox fans looked at. Like, it's in my house. It's like, it's beyond words how cool it is for me to own something, because it's just everything. It's like a baseball cathedral in its own right. Like, it has so much like affinity from beyond just Red Sox fans, like the way people care about that place. It's cool, man. It's really cool. It's really special.
That's right. I'm incredibly jealous of it. Jake, how often were you able to get to McCoy, if at all?
I think I went 3 times in my life.
Yeah.
Thrice.
Did any of the times did you bring the buckets to bring down into the over the dugout and have?
I did. Yeah.
There?
When I went, when I was a little, I think the first time when I was like 9 or 10, I did do the buckets that time. Yeah, I do. I miss it. I do. I think there's something, especially in minor league baseball, for a place like being a shithole.
Yeah.
You know, like a beautiful shithole.
And it looked I mean, obviously a lot of the seats were ripped out, so it like really looked like a shithole, and like it definitely hadn't been like, obviously this goes without saying, it hasn't been cared for, but like all of the like vinyl is like ripped off of everything, like above the dugouts, and like the ads are still there, which is wild. Like all the ads in the outfield are still there. Like, let me see what's up there right now. We got like,
I wanted to ask like specifically, what about like the features that really stand out, like that concourse, like staircase out in left field in foul territory,
like the tower.
Yeah, simply what's that like? The hills out in like the seating, the seating area, or the grass seating only rather area, which was awesome spot to see a game.
The berm fits. Berm.
Is that the term for it? Berm.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. There you go.
I didn't get to go. I didn't like overstay my welcome, because I was just very I was like, okay, thanks for like opening the gates for me. Like, I'm just gonna like stand on the mound and like scoop up some dirt and take a picture and run away. But like I took a bunch of photos. So like they offered for me to like go in the concourse, and I was just like, I'm like, you guys are already staying like half an hour to an hour later than you said you would, and did manual labor for me. So I just
want to go home to their families and whatnot.
But yeah, it's like everything's still intact, but like it's very Zombieland vibes. You know, it's just, that's what happens when stuff sits outside in the weather unkempt for so long. Like the scoreboard was like in good condition. You can see like all of the little ads. There's like the cute little Duncan ad, big old Jordan's Furniture ad up there, you know, the works.
Of course.
Gotta get Jordan.
I wonder if they're keeping, I wonder like when they knock it down, if they're keeping any of the bones or any, like the scoreboard or anything like that. Like the scoreboard should just go to the high school, right? That would make sense.
Yeah, if it still works. I don't know. Well, like, I don't know if you like leave it unmaintenanced for that long, if it would work again. That would be, curious if they're gonna, because I have no idea what the like physical plan is for where the high
any
school
electricians,
is.
People who know like the inner workings of infrastructure who listen to the program, let us know.
Just let us know.
I just think it would be nice. I think it would be a nice little gesture, little piece.
That would be cute. History.
They'll probably do like say like where home plate was like is part of the parking lot. Like they'll have
great in the exactly.
That's like what they have it. They have that at Citi Field. Like
Citi Field, they do it at,
we should buy
at Turner as well, the old Atlanta stadium, but it's it's not Turner anymore. It's where I forget the name of it off the top of my head. They don't even play there anymore, but they did have that. What were you saying there, Jake?
I was just saying we should buy the scoreboard.
I think so.
I think like if my memory serves correctly, it's not that big. So.
Oh, you got a section side going? We got the whole scoreboard, right?
You'll be fine, yeah.
But I mean, like, again, not to put words on your mouth, but like standing around there, you got like, even when it's all overgrown in all that shit, you're probably standing there being like, oh, I remember, that time going when we saw like, the Columbus Clippers or something like that.
Yeah.
The Paw Sox play, the Syracuse Chiefs or something like that. All those
Yeah.
AAA teams in the IL. It's got to be a trip.
It's wild. I know, because it's like I think as a kid definitely wasn't paying attention as much as I should. So it's kind of just like memories of all of the like fun shit, because I didn't go over the age of like 12. So
Right.
it was like, woo, baseball. But it's like still just such a like salient memory in my head, like sitting in those seats. And it was also like my first time ever standing on a baseball diamond, like a professional baseball diamond in any capacity. And that was just weird. I was like, whoa, I feel like I'm in like a weird flashback.
When you
scene
took a
of
picture, like when you were just there, that was the first time you'd ever been on
First
it?
time I've ever stood on a professional baseball mound.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
Nice.
60 feet 6
Good
inches
of
is a
you.
lot farther than it looks on TV.
Have you been
Yeah.
on a professional diamond, Fitz?
I have, yes.
Where? Fenway?
Well,
Big-
Fenway.
big
Once I
shot.
was a kid, I ran the bases at Fenway once, which was sick. It was amazing. But I think there was also a time or two like they did the same thing, like as a kid at McCoy, where you could run the bases.
Right.
Stuff like I was just checking off run the bases all
I don't
across
think
the
I
New
ever
England
did
area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I never did
I
that
never did
either.
that.
I've only been on Dunkin' Donuts, or it's just Dunkin' Park now in Hartford. That's
Which
that's
looks
the
like
only
a
one for me.
beautiful park.
It
by
is.
the way.
It is beautiful.
Which is a good transition into, obviously, McCoy made way, I guess, indirectly for Polar in Worcester, obviously with the team moving. And it is a beautiful park out in Worcester, but there is something to be said about the je ne sais quoi that's lost, for lack of a better term, with McCoy Stadium. Obviously the move in the first place, and then with it being torn down. It does, I think you nailed it, Doink. It does, it brings a little, a sad sentiment there,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's a bummer. I mean, it's weird also because it's like the team's been defunct for a minute, so it's kind of like we all put it to bed already, and then like to go back and be like, oh, it's not dead yet, it's dying like now, is kind of a trip also.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of dies the second time, not
You're like,
sound
oh,
morbid, right?
it's actually for real now. Like they're not just gonna keep it forever and put something else there, or like let another team play there or whatever.
Yeah, that high school they would play. Nope, it's.
Has it been dormant since the Paw Sox left? Like, was there ever anything there?
I mean, like, so I guess I don't know. Maybe if it like they weren't sold or like what, but from where I parked in the parking lot, you could see, like the concourse that had like all the portraits.
Mm-hmm.
So like those were all for sale. I was thinking about
man.
getting me a Lou Merlone portrait, but
Lou.
but the price is like that got a
Utility
little.
Lou.
He deserves it too because it was more expensive than this, which is great. Good for Lou. I feel like I hope he bought it, but but like some of those portraits were still up there, which made me think like, oh yeah, they really just like haven't touched this place since. Because like some of them were still hanging up, and I was like,
You know what's
Wikipedia.
super fucking sad? I'm just on the Wikipedia. I didn't even realize this, but there was never like a goodbye for McCoy, because
like not a
COVID
goodbye
season
game.
was its that was supposed to be its last season, and there was just no season. There was nothing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Isn't that sad? I never realized that.
We're doing our goodbye for McCoy right now.
Yeah, this is it. This is it right now.
They'll play this on
That's
loop, like they'll
beautiful.
put it on an iPad until it gets
They'll play that on the
until it
scoreboard.
gets bulldozed. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It keeps every 25 minutes or so, the city of Pawtucket, it just rings out Jay calling their beloved ballpark a beautiful shithole, just on loop ad nauseum. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get you back onto the program to check in, and then also to hear about this, because I think that's a pretty cool experience that you got to have. Not many people can say that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was really. I'm glad I got to yap about it somewhere because it was.
There you
cool.
go. Absolutely. Doink, if people want to, well, I guess I guess you could yap on Twitter by recording a video, but text yapping. If people want to see more of that, where can they find you?
On X, the everything app.
It's what's happening.
It's what's happening.
It's what's happening.
Yeah, I yap on there less and less these days, but you know, we're still riding.
Still yapping, still posting.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys know Bob Dylan played at McCoy Stadium?
Really?
2006.
I kind of forgot that like
Menacing with
anybody played there.
Can we get a list of some before we wrap up? Can we get a list of like? Are there some other
I got
notable acts?
So for 3 years, McCoy annual concert during the summer. Bob Dylan was the first one. That was in 2006, and then in 2007 we had Collective Soul and Live and the Counting Crows. And the Counting Crows.
Counting Crows.
That's insane.
Yeah, and then in 2008, it was the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and the Dropkick Murphys.
Brilliant.
I cannot believe.
Did they get kicked out of Boston that year and they had to settle for McCoy after?
Imagine seeing the Counting Crows in 2007 at McCoy Stadium. That's beautiful.
Man.
That'd be a movie.
It's too bad. Like,
here's a fun fact.
16-year-old me would have loved that. 16-year-old me would have been at that Mighty Mighty Boss Tones
I was
show.
as like an how old was I? I guess I was like 6. As a 6-year-old, I was really into the Counting Crows because of Shrek 2. I got like
valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
I was like, I bought CDs. I was like, Mom, I really need to listen to this band. They're in Shrek 2.
It's the greatest animated movie of all time.
Yes, and one of the best sequels of all time.
The best sequel of all time.
It sounds silly to say
it's
that
up
loud,
there.
but it is true. Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1. It's a banger of a film.
It's so good.
Oh, absolutely.
The pepper gets me every time. Every single time.
On the white Bronco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they plant the catnip on him.
That's not mine.
That's not mine. People always, this is a bit of a tangent, but like sequels are never better than the original. That's just not true. Like flatly, there's so many sequels that are better than the original.
To keep it animated, Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1.
Toy Story 2. I mean, even like big, like
Home Alone,
The Empire Strikes Back.
Home
that's it. Really? Do you really think that?
I would still say Home Alone 1, but
I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased with a very personal connection.
Are you in?
Your favorite president was in that movie for us.
My favorite businessman was in that movie.
Down the hall and to the left.
Yeah.
Reddit is down the hall and to the left.
But yeah, Empire Strikes Back, like you just mentioned.
There's a lot, and I've never agreed with the sequel isn't. Yeah, well, whatever. John Wick. I think all the John Wick sequels are better than the first one.
Respectable take.
All the John Wick movies on the scoreboard.
Like, what is your favorite movie ever?
That's crazy.
What's your Letterboxd top 4? This is Letterboxd. This is Cinema on Lansdowne.
This is Cinema on Lansdowne. My Letterboxd top 4 is kind of crazy, and I feel like it's like one of those annoying ones. I will say, I think like if I had to pick a movie that I could just watch forever, it's Best in Show. Christopher Guest. That is the funniest movie to me. I have a terrier. I'm also biased, and we sing "God Loves a Terrier" to her all the time.
Who's your favorite like SCTV person?
SCTV.
It's like that's like the group that they all those.
I'm just like
from. Like it was. Yeah, like Levy. I mean, like Catherine O'Hara.
It's Catherine O'Hara all day.
Catherine O'Hara.
Cookie Fleck is my girl.
I'm a Michael McKean the other night. Catherine O'Hara.
I adore Michael McKean.
Yeah, Cookie Fleck is my girl. I love that movie.
Fitz, you see Beetlejuice 2?
Not yet.
I haven't seen it either. People liked it. People I respect liked it, which I was surprised. Like on Twitter,
I just came from. That was why I was late. I came from the movies.
Did you see? Was it for Beetlejuice?
No, I saw that new Jason Schwartzman movie, Between the Temples.
Oh, how was that?
Quite adorable.
Yeah.
I needed a lit Between the Temples.
Between the Temples.
It's like he's a temple cantor and like has this whole like reconnection with his childhood like singing teacher. I wanted a little bit more from it, but it was good. It was funny.
Cute. What's your main theater? Can you say that? You don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I go by myself
Never mind.
very often.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll tell you in 5 seconds.
Okay.
That 5
fine.
seconds coming up in just a
AMC
moment.
Lincoln Center. No, just
I've been there.
Again, Doink,
Nice
really
place.
appreciate you taking the time to come onto the pod to talk a little McCoy and to show off your absolute amazing haul from that auction.
yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.